Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Breathe Motivation. It is episode 122. My name is Anthony Hester. I'm the host and founder of Breathe Motivation. So glad to be here with you on this Sunday. So 122 days straight we've been here with you because we know everybody needs a little motivation each and every day, and that's why we're here with you. So my goal is to help you find your purpose and passion in everything you do on a day-to-day basis, and I know we're doing that because I'm hearing the growth. I'm seeing the growth from all of you guys out there. So keep doing what you guys are doing. So let's recap yesterday. So yesterday we talked about loosening up a little bit, right? I think it's important for us to understand that we are going to, live life, and life sometimes can be challenging, but a lot of times we've got to be able to loosen up and have some fun, because when you're having fun, success tends to follow. And if you've noticed, time, really just kind of, sometimes it goes fast, and as we're going through life, it can go too fast sometimes. And I think while we're having fun, we tend to accomplish more. So time tends to slow down, and really kind of, you get to soak in all the great information and all the great things around you when you are having fun. So you've got to be able to loosen up, have some fun, and you'll see success follow you. So stop being so serious. Stop taking life so serious. Life is, there's serious things about life, but it doesn't have to be 100% serious all the time. So just loosen up, have some fun, and you'll see great things prosper around you because you're having fun. So today we are going to talk about shortcuts. Who loves a good shortcut, right? It's nice to have a little shortcut if you're trying to get it to work, if you're late and all that good stuff. But I would tell you, in life, things that you want to accomplish and things, and even success, there really are no shortcuts. So let me give you the definition and we'll get into a little bit further detail. So shortcut is an accelerated way of doing or achieving something. So this weekend, my wife, she always seems to like bring me back to earth. It's so fun. And, I get frustrated sometimes, but, sometimes she just like, I don't, just, oh man, I just love her. She's amazing. So sometimes I get so frustrated when I have conversations with her because, I'll be talking to her about this podcast and I'll talk to her about my business. And then she like really just, I'm on a roll and I'm thinking I'm on a roll. And she's like, well, have you ever thought about this? And I'm like, man, well, I don't have time to do this. What do you mean you don't have time? You want to do things right, the first time, or do you want to, have all this stuff come up and then you don't have any clue what you're doing, right? So I was telling her about how I need to market and I need to, kind of brand this and, obviously I've got a brand and what we're working at, but she's like, you've got to be able to, well, one, you got to know your audience, right? So that's why I put that survey into the description, and I want you guys to continue to take that survey because it gives me a better understanding of the audience, right? So my wife is like, in order to market something, you got to be able to understand what exactly you're marketing to, who you're marketing to. Do you know? And I was like, yeah, I got a small sample size. And she's like, no, you need to get a bigger sample size. So you need to like have focus groups and you need to pay people to, listen to your podcast and really get feedback from people that are unbiased, people that don't know you, because that's what's going to help you along the way. And I was like, wow, I never thought about that, and there are things that I think about, but I was like, wow, I never thought about that. And I was like, yeah, but I don't have time and I don't have like all the funds to be able to do this. And she's like, you can make it happen. And it's so funny to see that. And I get so frustrated sometimes because I'm like, man, she's right. But oh man, she got me. Like, it's so good. And I love to be able to have people hold me accountable, to these things, because there's a lot of things that, I'm not perfect. And there's a lot of things, I know business, but, there's a lot of things I don't know about business as well. And, I noticed that there are times where, maybe not on purpose, but I try to take shortcuts. And a lot of the times when I've tried to take shortcuts in life, nothing good comes out of it. Because I've, wanted some things to happen. I wanted great things to happen. But in the long run, great, it was great up front and, things looked good. And then later on down the road, they just kind of fell out, right? and it's frustrating. So I would tell you, when you look at life and when you're going through life, always take, like one of, I think I told you guys about this, but my district manager always said that people like to take the path of least resistance because you don't have to put in as much effort. And I was like, I don't think I really understood that until, I started coaching and I started, really understanding people and really seeing how people thought. So whether I was coaching them in retail or I'm coaching them one-on-one, through my coaching sessions or, just anything, even family and friends, they ask for advice and all these things, but, people are always looking for the easy way out. And I've seen time and time and time again, the people that took the easy route always end up frustrated because they get this short-term success. And in the long term, they miss out because there's a lot of knowledge maybe they missed out on by taking the easy route, right? It's so crazy to understand and see it. But I've opened my eyes to it. And I think sometimes you've really got to focus in and say, hey, there are things that I might have to learn, right? So when I started this business, I've kind of done everything backwards. So I had an idea. I started this podcast. I didn't really understand where this podcast was going to go or, who I was targeting because people always ask me that, who's your target market? And I was like, I couldn't tell you who my target market is. I just want to be able to create a podcast that is going to help spread positivity, help people find their purpose and passion, right? As we go along in the show, I'm sure that's going to come out and people are like, well, you got to still do a little bit of research and understand who you're directing this to. And I was like, it's crazy because, if I were to create, what they call as an avatar, so who's the perfect person? And I was like, it's funny because it probably would have been me, 7-8 years ago. Right? It would have been me, the person that, I'm 22, 21, 22 years old. But at the same time, what's funny is that my audience tends to be, a little bit older. So they're 24 to 34 or, so I've got some 30, 39 to 49. So it's interesting mix of who I have. And, that's the biggest thing is, you can tailor these things to all these people or the different people that listen to it. But, it's interesting to see where it goes. But as we do the research and as I do these things and I start to, kind of understand where my business is going, it's interesting to see because you never know what you're going to get. But a lot of times, I had to take, steps back. So when I started it, like I said, I started off, this podcast, I started it out, I had my logo, I had these things because initially when I started this, breathemotivation.com was actually just a blog. And as I got further into it, I was like, I love writing and I found a new love for writing, but I found that it was hard to keep up with. So I was like, okay, great. So I've got my logo, I've got all these things going, and I kind of put pieces together as I was going. So, later on down the road, when I got into the podcast, this podcast actually started probably about a year later after I'd gotten, my idea of my name, for the company, the Breathe Motivation. I had started a website, I'd started all these things, but I didn't have all my pieces together. So, I was looking at it as like, hey, I want this instant success, but nothing great comes out of instant success. So what I've been able, what I've had to do is really kind of, tailor, look back and, kind of, go back in time to really create these things. So I updated my logo, I created this podcast, I've started to study more social media and marketing and all those great things. And I've done that, through schooling and all that stuff too. But I have to refresh myself because there's so many things changing in the social media world each day. So I would challenge people to understand that, there are things that are always going to change for you. And you've got to be ready for that. And a lot of times you are going to try to take shortcuts in your life. And I want you to, when I look at it, I've gotten so frustrated at times with this, with the podcast and all these things because I want it to grow and learn and, and be better than what it is. But then again, I've got to stop by, I've got to stop and say, hey, you're working on this product. It doesn't, a product doesn't grow overnight. A lot of people see a lot of the celebrities and all that stuff as like overnight successes, but they go through all these hard times to be able to, and all these learning times, character building days and character building weeks and years to be able to get to where they're at. And that's where I'm at. I'm in the beginning stages of a business and understanding, the differences of those things. But I know that I can't take shortcuts. I've got to be able to do things the right way because if I do them the right way now, it's going to pay off in the long run. So I want you guys to understand that in life, you've got to be able to understand you might not see, the instant success, or you're not seeing this growth or development like you think you are. But I promise you, you are learning, you're growing, you're getting better each day. You've just got to be patient. And that's one thing that my wife would tell me. If I needed anything in the world, it would be patience. She's like, she told me the other night, like, I love your passion, I love your excitement, and I love your ideas. But if I could just, put patience in a shot and give you a big shot of patience, that would be the best thing. Because sometimes you don't want to wait. You want all these things to happen and go. But you can get lost and confused sometimes because you're focused on all these other things. When if you focused on one thing at a time versus multitasking, you would find more success. So it's important for us to understand that, start to focus on, getting better each day. And as we start to lay that foundation, right? I've got a foundation. I've got my podcast. I know the direction of which I want to go with the podcast and the coaching and, breathemotivation.com. I've got the idea. It hasn't fully reached where it's supposed to yet, but it wasn't supposed to. It's not supposed to be there yet because I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm developing, right? And the same thing with this journey and this business. It's developing. And as we start to go through these things, I practice, I work hard, I practice my motivational speaking in a room by myself and really just go through these things and really kind of go through what I want Breathe Motivation to be in 5 years from now, right? I don't want this just to be one thing that I get up, I get started, and then I quit, because that was always me. When I was in my early 20s, I would start something, I'd be like, cool, I want to be a bartender. I'd go to bartending school and never do anything with it. Or, before, when I got out of high school, I was like, let me go to college. And I wasn't ready mentally, for college because I was trying to work and do all these things. So I quit that. And then later on in my life, as I, got older, I was like, you know what, now I can balance these things. I can balance work and I can balance school and I can balance these things because I learned all these lessons behind, in the past. So now I can, I'm ready for these tasks and I'm ready for building a business. I'm ready for all these things. So you got to know that you're ready and when you're ready, but stop taking shortcuts because it's going to lead to a lot of frustration. And I tell myself that every day, that I've got to be patient. I've got to have fun with what I'm doing. And as long as I do that and I make it one step at a time, guess what? In the next couple weeks, next month, next year, Breathe Motivation is going to look completely awesome, right? So I want you guys to continue to reach out to me on social media, Anthony Hester at breathemotivation.com. You can reach me there. Check out breathemotivation.com. It's got a podcast. I'm working on some blogs. I'd love to hear you guys' feedback. So continue to take that survey link that's in there. Let me know what you guys think, how we can get better, things you would like to see different, because I've taken a lot of things that you guys have told me and I've changed the show to cater to what you guys like, because at the end of the day, this is our podcast, not Anthony Hester's podcast. This is about us and our audience and our community. So I want to be able to continue to have that feel of our podcast, not just mine or what I want to get up on my soapbox and talk about. So, some of these topics have come from you guys and I love that. And I love the interaction. I want you guys to be able to interact more. So continue to reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out, because I think, I've talked to some people that, they're like, man, I was so afraid to reach out to you and, talk to you about, some of these things. And I was like, why? And I used to be like that too. So feel free to reach out. Feel free to, whatever you want to say. If you feel like I can get better, trust me, my feelings aren't going to get hurt. There are a lot of things that people have told me to help me get better. And same thing with this podcast, to help it get better. And we will continue to learn and grow and get better together. And that's the only way for us to find success. Be open to, getting better. Be open to, hearing great things, because a lot of people will say great things about you as well. So be open to success. Be open to feedback that's going to help you get better. And I want you guys to continue to reach out to me. So if you're afraid to reach out to me, I'm giving you an open invitation to reach out to me however you want to. So on my breathemotivation.com, you can reach me there. My social media on Twitter and Instagram's at breathemotivate. On Facebook, it's Breathe Motivation. So feel free to reach out. This is your open invitation. I'll continue to give you guys an open invitation. I want to talk to you guys. I love talking to you guys. And that's one of the greatest things that I have to offer. So let me leave you with this quote. Nobody wanders his or her way to a dream, and nobody achieves a dream by accident. Don't shortcut the process and risk cheating yourself out of your dream. And that's John C. Maxwell. So go out there. Remember, there are no shortcuts. Don't frustrate yourself. Enjoy the journey. I want to continue to tell you guys that. That's something I always tell myself is enjoy the journey and great things will come. So I already gave you, my Instagram and all that good stuff. BreatheMotivation.com is a way to, check us out and all our great stuff. And as always, remember to breathe motivation and exhale success. I will see you guys tomorrow on Monday for episode 123. Thanks.